evening, Mr. Waters from Scottish Enthusiast and Trains TV. I'm afraid we're about 2 minutes late because it's been rather a busy day. Mr. Coleman is here with me. Welcome to a slightly less professional live stream, and we await your questions for Mr. Coleman or for me. I don't really mind which. Mr. Coleman is kind of not on the stream very much. Maybe some of you would like to ask him some questions this time, particularly as there's been a rather enticing thumbnail that I've just seen. So I'll just bring things up on the laptop here as well. I'm mute so I don't have to hear myself talk. I do enough of that anyway when I'm editing. Right, there's a chat section here. With a pop-out chat. There we go. Right, Chambers 101. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you, sir. How are you? Hopefully you can actually hear me. We've got a rather sort of impromptu setup here with the phone that I'm using to record the live stream. Once again, good evening to you, Mr. Waters. How are you, sir? Yes, it's what is it, like 28 degrees here or something? Yeah, it's been
lovely.
It's been a bit crazy, but because Mr. Coleman's family are from the United States of America and a very warm part of it, I think he's enjoying it really.
Yeah, it's just an average day.
What's we've got? Philip to Noswyth Da. Okay, that's hello, isn't it? It's Welsh or something like that.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, Noswyth Da. I used to live with somebody who was from Wrexham for many years, and I did pick up one or two things, but not an awful lot. Mr. Waters says very badly sunburnt again. I think I've kind of managed not to get badly sunburnt today. I've managed it. Mr. Coleman's just tanned. Like I can't express to you just how much Mr. Coleman actually tans. It's quite amazing. Philip just says Welsh for good evening. I wasn't done too far off. Richard Howlett says good evening. Good evening to you, sir.
All right.
Yes, it's been sort of quite a day. Mr. Coleman spent the morning taking Mr. Frank's car over for an MOT. I'm sure many of you do remember Mr. Frank's. His car came in for service and MOT.
Yeah.
And it's now gone away again with a nice fresh MOT and no advisories.
No advisories, fresh set of brakes and a service.
Yeah, it's much cheaper than the Skoda dealership wanted for it.
Yeah. They
wanted far too much money for doing that kind of stuff. So it has now got that, and then we were down at Job's Garage at Kyneton earlier on today for the social event.
Yeah.
Which was entertaining in parts. People kept coming into the reserved parking area that we had. Some of them were driving cars which were being parked very dangerously and very loudly.
Yeah, idiots.
Yeah, what was it? E65 M5 or something.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of those, to be honest, sir.
No, nor am I. Yeah, it's been a nice day though. It's yeah, nice and hot, good weather, and lots of nice cars.
Yeah. The Jeep we took when the Jeep was there, that had lots of sort of admiring glances, and I'm hoping that maybe tomorrow when I go to the BBC Lane show that we'll get some nice people looking at mine as well. Now I just love well done. Mr. Waters was not filming Tweed Jacket reviews. He was getting his car fixed. Actually, that's the reason he was here. We'd love to do Tweed Jacket reviews at some point, but we're still waiting for like a number of the cars that we're actually supposed to be doing. Hasn't materialised. I've been waiting almost a year in one case and almost 11 months in another. So the answer's no. Oh look, Mr. Coleman, you've had a question. How's the Jeep going?
Yeah, the Jeep's going really well. It's running fantastically. Yeah, I'm just enjoying using it, and I've done quite a fair bit to it over the last few months. I might, if I get a chance over the next week or so, do a bit of a vlog, straight update on it, and take you all around it to show you how it's going and what's been done and what is going to be done. So yeah, stay tuned.
Obviously, if you are going to Festival of Exception on the 30th of July, then you can see it there in person.
Yeah, it'll be there, and yeah, it'll be great because Josie's putting some fuel in it to take it there.
Yeah, I've got to put some fuel in it. Mr. Coleman on the way to Kyneton today. It was about half an hour or so, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 45 miles.
Sort of there and back. That it was getting, was it 22 miles per gallon?
Yeah.
22. That's about the best it does, really.
That's about the best it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So especially with fuel, I don't know, the E5 is about £2 a litre, isn't it? The E5.
Yeah.
So we should be putting some in there, and hopefully it won't be guzzling too much of it on the way to Grimsthorpe Castle and back.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be doing. Mr. Hayden Saxby says hello, sir.
Hello. Excellent.
Right, the rest of you have any questions, Mr. Coleman? Because of course he is here, and we've actually counted, and I can't believe this. We've only done 3 joint live streams. I thought it was a lot more than that, but it's actually only 3.
Yeah.
Chambers 101 says it'll come through on the second one. I'm using a second device to read them here. Yes, he says, nice one. This is to do with the Jeep Cherokee. Good to hear it's going well. They're very good 4x4s.
They are, and in my personal opinion, they're a lot better than something that's built a few miles up the road from here, and that's called a Land Rover or a Range Rover, and a lot more easy to work on, a lot more reliable and comfortable, and yeah, main reason why I bought them, because I think they're great.
I took Mr. Frank to his for a spin in it last night, just down the road to the shop, and when I the right key, the ignition, because there's like a blank one on the key fob.
Yeah.
It's fine, but I'm still getting used to the American style ignition switch on them, which doesn't work in quite the same way as a European one. But I do very much like it. That's one of the reasons why we decided to go together in that, rather than taking 2 cars.
Yeah.
And me just having to explain to the lady wife why I've been racking up miles in a car I'm not supposed to do too much in. Before we'll take that one, and because it's per car entry anyway, that'll save us some money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that should be good. Julian Knight over in Germany says, good evening everyone. Good evening to you as well, sir. Guten Abend.
Yes.
Then Mr. Harwood from Rover Joe says hello. Good evening, Mr. Harwood. Mr. Richard Hallett has said that the Jeep Cherokees are better built than, say, like a Discovery.
Yeah, they are.
At the time, that'll be the end of a Discovery 1. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Still on the Morris Marina door handles at the time, back in '97.
Yeah.
Mr. Waters from the Scottish Car Enthusiast and Trains TV, so I thought you'd done more than live streams than 3 together. No, we've done. Apparently, we've not done that. I did check when I was doing the title and everything, and we've only done 3. And at some point, Mr. Coleman will be doing his own ones as well, because he's now eligible for them.
Yes.
Mr. Harwood asked a very good question. Are you 2 going to Gaydon tomorrow? Yes. The answer is yes and no.
Joseph is. I'm not. I'm going to Grimsthorpe Castle Country Show and car show with my car club tomorrow. And so yeah, you're going to have a look at some British cars. I'm going to have a look at steam engines and farm equipment.
And you're taking the Jeep, aren't you?
I'm taking the Jeep. Yeah.
Find out exactly what the fuel economy is like on the way there.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So we'll know that for later this month. Right. Dean, what do you think of a Dacia Jogger? The thing is, I don't really know until I've actually driven one. I have been now offered a Jogger. I'm waiting for the gentleman to actually formalise that, and because but getting people typing things in a live stream or like comment section of video is not really the same as someone making a formal kind of sort of review offer to me.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for that to come through. It also is literally the other end of the country, so we're going to have to probably wait until we can kind of get like more cars in the area to film before we do it. Otherwise, it'll be ruinously expensive.
Where is it?
It's up in the northwest.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that will be interesting. Unless I can get hold of one at say the next SMMT drive day, which will be in September. So I don't know which one of those is going to happen first. If I can get hold of one, if there is one there, it will be absolutely mobbed because there wasn't one actually there when they're in April. But I thought there would be one. There were no Dacias at all. There are no Renaults and no Dacias there, but only Alpines, which is very strange. So if I can get hold of one on that day, then I'll do it then. If I have to wait a little bit longer to go up to where it's up in the northwest and do it, then we'll do it then. But at the moment, I can't really say because I've not driven one. Mr. Harwood says, I hope you have a good time there. I think that's Mr. Coleman, yes, at Grimsthorpe Castle, yes. Sure, we'll see you at Grimsthorpe Castle anyway. So if you're coming down on the 30th. Chose 101 says, not been to Gaydon in a while. They have some lovely Land Rovers up there. They certainly do. They've got one of the Queen's ones from the sort of early 50s, I think, that she used there. And I think they've got a P38 in there. They've got quite a few. There's a big collection of them because I think the facility's like part owned by Jaguar Land Rover or something like that. Yeah. So they've got loads in there. Particularly the sort of heritage collection that's the second building. They've got loads of stuff in there like that. Right, do we have anything else anybody else wants to ask?
Yeah, it's a good day out, Gaydon is, and I'm privileged to live, relatively close to it. And with work on the odd occasion, I do go in there if I'm having to cover a route or go on the road. I do go into Gaydon because my company services the Gaydon Waste contract, and it's always been a bit of a long-standing joke that after, like a British Leyland show or a Jaguar show or a Land Rover show, to drive through the car park early the morning after and look at all the oil stains and antifreeze that's been left behind, because it's quite funny sometimes.
Yeah. I think with the BBC Leyland show, there might be some of that there actually on Monday morning as well. Yeah. Although mine is not leaking anymore, so that's fine. I might just stick some in actually a little while, but a little bit of coolant, but nothing else, just to make sure it's okay. Particularly if I'm going to run the air conditioning. Mr. Harwood from Rover Joe says, I'm going to come in the 200. Have that on No Budget Reviews actually quite recently. I think it was beginning of last month we had on No Budget Reviews. We're going to Gaydon mainly because it's got the fuel in it. Yeah, that's a big sort of deal at the moment, isn't it, having actual fuel in the car. I took advantage of the fact that the fuel was about 4p a litre cheaper here than it is down in Eastleigh. Just put some in at Asda, just near the PSA headquarters, and it wasn't too bad. Okay. So I put some in there. Mr. G. Oh, hello, Mr. G. Good evening to you, sir. It's been a while, sir. I hope you're doing well. Here we go. Someone's saying that there's a delay between the camera here and it coming up on the second device here, so we're just going to wait. See there. Dean West says, I've had a Jogger for a week now as a company car. It's a bit like an old Megane estate. Gutted does have to give the Seat Leon back. Wow. It's not really like a rival to a Seat Leon ST. I think they're like double the price of Leon STs now. Obviously the engineering's like, for a modern car, the engineering is really, really, really simple in that. Very, very, very simple indeed. Yeah, they're a bit different. I think there's a couple of trims in those, but it starts at like 16 grand or something, which is ridiculous money for a car with 7 seats. Steve Silverman says, Opel Manta White, excellent condition. That's very nice. What Opel Manta is that? Is that one of the Manta Bs or something? Probably most of them are surviving Manta Bs, aren't they? How many of those have you driven, Mr. Coleman?
I've driven a couple of them. I did own one about 15 years ago. I kept it for about 6 weeks. And lovely looking car, but the driving experience and that woeful engine that's in it is instantly forgettable. And it had to go. But I do like the Opel Manta purely because they look great. Particularly a Manta exclusive. Very nice. The kind of problem with the Manta was that despite having a 2.5 and 3 litre sort of cam-in head engine available, which would have fitted into the car, they never put it in. So obviously
Capri, right from the Mark 1 all the way through to the end of Mark 3 production in '86, they had V6 engines in them, both Cologne and Essex V6s. I don't know why, because it would have fitted in, but they didn't put the 2.5 or 3 litre cam in head in.
Yeah, it's put 4 litre cam in head, 4-cylinder cam in head in it, and it's not very good.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a problem, but I'd like to have a go in one actually personally. That would be good. I don't know how possible it is to get hold of one, but you know, you never know, do you? This is an interesting question here. Mr. Waters from Scottish Car Enthusiast Trains TV says, "Do you think Dacia is still good value for money these days?" It's well, yeah. I mean, the set play is really good. Like, that's one of the cars that's done best on my channel in the last year. I thought that was a pretty good car, to be honest. They're very cheap to run. You can get an LPG version of that, and I think you can get an LPG version of the Duster as well. The sort of issue is they're not really like cars for the person who wants like the latest stuff and any frills. But to be honest, with the current climate, they actually make a lot of sense. I think they probably are, but you want to be looking at maybe not going for like the top end trims for the best value in a Dacia. That's what I say. Dean Webb says, "My company going very cheap now. It's down to petrol. That's why presumably you're having the Dacia Joggers as opposed to the Valayan STs, because the Valayan STs have been worth a lot of money trading. Richard Howlett says, "Many places I want to visit. I drove past Gaydon and Bewley last year." Yeah, you would have done actually. I bet if you on the way down to the social event, you'd have come past Gaydon. Rick from Agate and Anything is here. What up, people? What up, sir?
What up, sir?
Yes, indeed. My 45 V6 is parked outside and will be going to the BMW Lane show tomorrow. And I gather that I'm seeing your Rover 45 1.4 in Milton Keynes in September. I look forward to that. Mr. Jonky Citizen says, "Do you always make money when you flip cars both? I nearly lost out." Mr. Coleman tends to make money on cars that he buys and sells. He doesn't. I don't think you do.
Don't do it. I don't do it much anymore. You know, maybe probably once or twice a year. But back in the day, you know, to subsidise my income, I used to do quite a lot of it. And yeah, I used to. When it was back in the early to mid 2000s, I always used to do certain vehicles that I know would sell, 2 different brands, and usually pay the same amount of money for them from auction, like ex-driving school cars and ex-fleet stuff that needed a bit of work doing on it that a dealership or a garage forecourt would say no to. Do it myself and literally just stick them in the pub car park up for sale. Yeah, clear a couple of grand profit on each one. Sometimes they didn't sell for a week or two, sometimes sat for a month, sometimes they go the same day. Yeah, but yeah, I used to back in the day. I couldn't do it now. Far too much work, a lot of time wasters, and a lot more internet involved. And yeah, probably could, but with the climate at the minute, I'd say no.
The thing is that you weren't really even advertising on the internet, were you? No. It's just literally the advert in the window on that.
Advert in the window in the pub car park down the road.
The pub that no longer exists.
The pub that don't exist anymore now, they're becoming a co-op.
Yeah, it's probably a good place at the time to advertise stuff because there are a lot of people passing by.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a bit of the history. I don't really make money on cars that I sort of buy and sell. I have made little lots of money, but most of the time I've lost. So I don't tend to do it anyway. It's not really my thing. Finley Putin says hello to Rick. Rick Wagner says hello to Finley. And Simone Hunt on Classics says hello. Hello Simone, how are you?
Oh.
Hello. Richard Howlett says, correct, yes, it's about if you drive to Bewley, often if you're coming from the north of England, you do pass Gaydon on the way down.
Yeah.
So Julian Knight said, this is from Hamburg, I think. Driving to Poland tomorrow, yes, you can do that. It takes a while though. I have driven across some of Germany. It takes a while. It's first time since the fuel price increase. Normally do around 2,000 kilometres round trip. That is, in old money, something like 140. Yeah,
2,000 kilometres.
2,000 kilometres is about 1,400 miles, isn't it?
Yeah, about that.
1,400 miles. Yeah, it's a long way. about what I did when I drove from. I think I drove from Epsom right to the centre of Germany, near a place called I think it's called Karlsruhe, where I was, near sort of Göttingen and that kind of area. That took a long time, and it's like it's at least a 2-day drive that, and was about that sort of distance, I think. Chambers 101 asked a very good question. Are you both looking forward to the rest of the show season?
Yes.
Well, we're both going to shows tomorrow, so
Well, yeah.
we're doing a show together at the end of the month, which is firstly unexceptional. I'm not actually bringing my car to that because technically it's outside the remit of that that particular show. Although I could probably get it in, to be honest, but because cars were there from 2005 last year, but technically the Jeep is more kind of along the lines of what it is. It's right on the cusp of what they recommend the era to be, and I don't think there'll be any others there.
Probably not. No.
So I think that's more sort of along the lines of it. Yeah, then I've got another show next weekend. I've got another show in August, and I'm filming another show at the end of August. Actually, I'm filming one in July as well, the penultimate weekend, but that's just like a day event. So there's loads of stuff that's still to go. Yeah, there we go. Simone from the Classics is talking about show at Powderham Castle. Can't remember where Powderham Castle is. It's down the southwest somewhere, I think, probably. Yeah. It is very hot, Simone. You're absolutely right. I think Mr. Harwood, as said earlier on, cleaning his car ahead of tomorrow, ahead of the BMC Leyland show, only when it's cooled down a bit, which is probably a good idea. You see, his car's in the concourse festival exception, managed to get it in, which is excellent. It is a very nice car there. Rix from Agath and everything says Agath had an incontinent moment today. The fuel pump failed.
Oh well.
Yeah, we know about fuel pumps failing. It's not the most exciting thing.
No.
It's not my favourite really. And then Simone's Gaydon next Sunday. That's the Ford event, isn't it? At Gaydon. Yeah. Should be the week after that, the same time as the MG40 event that I'm doing next weekend. Yeah. I think we've caught up with these. Oh, we've actually caught up with this sort of stuff. We've had a few sort of things flurrying in at the moment. It's a very strange show season because when I went to Bromley Pageant last month, I was sort of thinking, my gosh, you know, it's a massive show. It's the biggest. It's the biggest kind of one-day open-air show in the country. I failed to get around it in a day. I didn't manage it. It's like 10 parts, which almost killed me. And I was thinking, we're right inside the proposed ultra emission zone here. So if your car is like after 82 and before about 2003-4, like you're paying. Yeah. And if it's a forbidden fuel one, you're just paying between sort of 82 and 2015. So once that comes through, if it does come through, that show's going to be a very different show. And if they start fiddling around with that kind of stuff in other areas, it's going to make the classic car scene different. Of course, the price of the fuel to get to the shows has increased, but I haven't seen like the number of people taking cars to shows decrease. No. If anything, there's still like more and more people taking them. So maybe people are just like taking more and more classics off the road. They're using them less, but they're still taking to the shows. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Good to know, Rick, that you'll still be on for tomorrow. I shall be then. I'm also going to be filming a car that I had my eye on for some time, about a year, but someone's offered me to film whilst I'm there. So I'm very excited about that. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Christopher Boyd says, evening, gents. Good evening to you, sir. Simone from the Classic says, my car is so far I'm being from Congress is hilarious. Simone, your car's got like masses of character. I wouldn't worry about that kind of thing. Mr. Harwood says, are you off to Roverfest in August? I'm a bit sort of uncertain. Yeah, I'm going to Roverfest, but one thing I've noticed, I've had my paperwork come through for it and everything, but the price of like the food that you get there is really, really, really expensive. So what I've decided to do is not dine in any of the official things, so I just don't want to pay for it.
Where's Roverfest?
Roverfest is up in Milton Keynes.
Okay.
It's like a whole sort of weekend. I'm really looking forward to that actually. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I just don't really want to pay like £25 for a meal. that is a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I think, but it should be good. I'll just like make up arrangements from that point of view. Right, Mr. Waters from Scottish Car Enthusiast Trader TV. I have a busy month. I've got a few car meets to go to in July. Yes, I've noticed you went one recently, didn't you, sir? I noticed you went to one recently. Rick Flag and everything says there's an Allegro Keep going tomorrow. I've never seen one. I'm not sure I've seen one of those either. Like they're like the Allegro SS.
They're silver. I think it's an orange and a red pinstripe down the side with some fancy wheels.
Yeah, I think the Allegro 2s had some of them, but the more famous one's the Allegro 3. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be a delight if I actually see one. I hope it doesn't boil over on the way into the show.
Probably will. Yeah.
The traffic getting into the show last year was abysmal. I probably waited half an hour. Like my needle and my temperature gauge was sort of doing this, which I didn't really enjoy. So we've kind of sort of decided when we go in. There's a group of us going in tomorrow. We're coming from the other direction.
Yeah.
It's what Mr. Coleman traditionally does.
Yeah. And
that's how you don't get stuck and your car overheats on the side of the road.
Yeah.
By going in the other way. So that's what we're going to do. Right, Mr. Harwood says I'm going to go for one day Roverfest. Yeah, why not, sir? Chemist 101 says that I think some of the burger vans are extortionate. Yeah. The food's kind of okay at Gaydon, and it's all right, but there is like a burger van or something outside, and it is a little bit expensive perhaps. So I might just be buying a sandwich or something. Mr. Harwood's getting very excited about the Allegro Keep. Yes, you're not really the only one. It's going to be quite a star of a show if that's there. Simone says any plans for its Southwest yet? I'm trying to ask like a couple of people. One chap I know's got loads of cars. I'm trying to like get a date with him to actually do it. So it's perfectly possible to do it. It's just I need to have like quite a few cars to film if I go that sort of distance. I'm just trying to pin down a firm date with him. But no, I haven't forgotten about this. Don't worry. Mr. Harwood says it's temperature gauge traffic. Yes. Hopefully you won't have any problems with your 1.4K series, so I'm sure it's fine. Says take your own food to shows. Yeah, it's increasingly what I do, particularly the drinks. Because you can save like a ton of money if you don't have to buy like a can of drink for £2 or something. Yeah. That's a huge saving, and it's going to be like today, tomorrow as well, isn't it? The weather's going to be really hot as well. So
yeah, I've got some waters and stuff in the fridge. I'll chuck in the car in a minute.
Yeah, that's a really sensible thing.
Yeah.
We got Carl. Oh, hello, Carl. This is going to come through on here in a second. Carl, good evening, sir. The man of many Ford Focuses. Enjoy the Rover show. It's BBC London, so there are lots of Rovers there, but it's loads of other stuff too. Saw an 800 Vitesse at a car show today. I do like a nice 800 Vitesse. Do you prefer the early ones or later ones, Mr. Coleman?
Early ones. Yeah.
The XX.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. The XX I drove it's pretty good actually. The XX I drove. The turbo XX is really fast. Like they probably eat tires, don't they?
Yeah, they're good cars. They're good cars.
Mr. Harwood says I'm taking 2 litres of water to keep hydrated. I don't want a headache on the way home. So if you're coming down from York to there and you're going back, you're going to need a bit more than 2 litres of water, I imagine. Probably maybe a bit more.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more. And if you come out of Gaydon and go to the Esso service station, which is just before you'd pick up the M40 if you were going that way, follow the signpost into Coynton. There's a Esso garage down there with relatively cheap fuel, and the selection of drinks they've got there is actually pretty good. It's got a spa shop attached to it, and I frequent that at least once a week when I'm out on the road, and can recommend it.
Yeah, you don't want to pay like I don't want to pay two quid for a little can of Coke tomorrow. It's just it's not worth it. Corporal Macklin from Macklin's Motors. Good evening, sir. I hope you have had a pleasant day. James 101 we always take a cool boxes show because you can get a lot in a Land Rover forward control. You certainly can. I think it was one of the reasons why we built those in the first place.
For cool boxes, yeah.
Well, just to put random stuff in. Oh, all right. Carl says that Vitesse was a pre-facelift of the T Series.
Nice, be great car.
T Series is a pretty good engine, to be honest.
Yeah.
Be quite a late one if it's a T Series, won't it?
It'll be a late refacelift.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. Simone says, "Oh my gosh, the petrol price dropped slightly yesterday." It did, because when I went to fill up today, it was £4 a litre cheaper than when I filled up on Thursday. Granted, the petrol station I use when I'm in the area is quite reasonable, but I did enjoy that it was dropped slightly.
Yeah.
Mr. Harwood says, I'm prepared. Yes, the cans of cola. Yeah, we're all avoiding the burger vans and all the expensive stuff. Salve lots of 6 cars, says evening. It looks like a good day for BMWN show. Yeah, if you can keep out the sun, that's probably a good idea. I don't want to burn scalp again like I got twice in 2 weeks. My lady wife sort of had to keep putting cool flannels on my head, which made me look a bit silly, particularly because they were purple.
That's alright.
Yes, I know, that's what happened, isn't it? I'm told SOE5 has very low ethanol.
Yeah, it probably does.
Oh. Does that, SO's what is that, 97 or 98 octane?
97.
97, okay. Rick says, Simone dropped here too. Oh, £128 to fill my van this morning.
Put that in the Jeep yesterday, thereabouts.
Yeah, that's why we're showing the cost of going to Festival Exceptional. That's why we're doing that. Okay, Carl's actually, that was a facelift. Yeah. I thought it was a T-Series to be a facelift, to be honest, and every test. I thought it would be a facelift. Flame red's a very popular colour for the test is. It's a decent colour, actually, that. Still makes a point that, like, that's still quite expensive. It is. It should be about 80 quid for the van, shouldn't it? Not 128. That's the difference we're living with. Says it's 185.9. It has dropped. It has dropped then, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That honestly has. Christopher Boyd said looking for a new daily car and it's stated a bit of room and something unusual, sub £10,000. It would completely depend, and I always say this to people, on exactly what's in your area. It's going to depend on what's in your area. It won't be worth at the moment driving to another country for something because the fuel prices are pretty crazy and it takes a lot of time to do that sort of thing. If it were me, then I'd be looking in the local area and just kind of seeing what's around, and it would be sort of a question of sort of elimination, really. Yeah. There'd be loads of stuff that would fit that bill, I should imagine. Mr. Waters of Scottish Car Enthusiast and Trains TV suggests subscribe to Inventors Estate. You definitely want to avoid the engine we can't talk about in those because it's very, very bad in those.
Simone for an Alpha 159 going to be different.
You could try an Alpha 159, yeah, you could try one of those. Simone says I put £50 in the Cortina, I was 3/4 of a tank. Yeah, it's about the same size of a tank in a Rover actually that I've got about that. Richard Hart suggests the Honda Accord Tourer. Yeah, Honda Accord Tourer is actually a very, very good car for that money.
Yeah.
I'd say that. Of course, you want to go for one of the petrols. The 2.4 is quite quick actually if you find a manual, but trying to find a Honda Accord Tourer, they can be very difficult to find. That's the only thing. I do have a review of one of those on my channel because Richard provided one for me.
Yes.
Christopher Boyd said, love an Alpha. We don't love an Alpha. I mean, we don't very much. I mean, Mr. Coleman's has had many Alphas. Yeah. He's currently got one, and I drove it last year, and I really love it. So there we go. Carl Wood says, got £3,500 going spare. I saw lovely Marina Super for sale. It's not Mr. Coleman's taste particularly. I'm more of a kind of like a towel person myself. Mr. Coleman thinks I'm the strangest person in the world when I say I prefer the Ital to the Marina.
You don't talk about Marinas on my channel.
No, don't talk about Marinas or Itals or anything like that. Mr. Waters says, one day I will own an Alpha.
Do it. Just go and do it.
The sort of For one to start, it's probably like a 147 or something like that, isn't it?
No, I wouldn't go for 1.5. I'll go straight in and have a 1.56.
156.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they are very nice.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, if you want to experience proper alpha on the budget, and they're still out there, go for a 156 because they've got next to no General Motors products in them, whereas a 147 has.
So you want to go for the 1.8 at 2 litre?
The insurance groups are all about the same, so if you're brave enough, go for a V6.
But you got to service it only.
Yeah, you've got to service them all.
That's the thing, isn't it? Christopher Boyd says a 3 litre legacy estate. It depends how much money you've got. You need loads of money to run one of those, not just because of the fuel consumption's really terrible. Not that that's the biggest factor, but the fact is they're quite complicated to service, and they do sometimes blow head gaskets.
Yeah.
So they're not the most reliable cars for legacies. No. So you need quite deep pockets to run something like that. They do make a nice sound, and people like driving them, but it just depends what you want. Steve Cornerton, we've got a problem here with your comments, Steve. We can't talk about that, I'm afraid. And Rick from Los Allegro Agatha has identified exactly why we can't talk about it. I don't think I've got actually a T-shirt in here. I'll have to run to the but there's a certain thing we don't talk about on this channel. Yeah. Been the case since the very first video. That was over 1,000 videos ago in 3.5 years. So
yeah,
I'm afraid we can't talk about that.
Hello, man. Yeah, this is me. This is what I look like.
Yes, Mr. Colburn does look like that. Yes, he does now. Mark from Badbutt says, "Good evening, young sirs."
Hi,
Good
Mark.
evening to you, sir. Yes. Mr. Watson, Scottish Car Enthusiast Trades TV, also, he was going to say it too. It's just as well that people are policing the live stream.
Yeah.
Yes, Steve. You did forget the rule. Yes, we'll let you off this time, sir. But there are certain rules we like to abide by. I've recorded 2 reviews today, actually, and in both of them, we maybe the same maxim as well. We don't talk about those things around here. James 101 says we used to run multi-fuel with Star Wars. Is that the sort of like an FV603 type thing?
Paraffin and petrol.
Can you just chuck anything in them?
Yeah, they usually have like some of the old Massey Fergusons used to be. I think you used to start them on paraffin and then switch over to diesel as 2 separate tanks. Yeah,
obviously the second word is the one we don't prefer not to use. Steve Corderson says just the naughty word. It is naughty, particularly if you are coming into an area like, I don't know, Aberdeen and Edinburgh and Bristol, expanded one in London, because it's all going to be a nightmare. Mr. Harwood says, I think I'll clean the car at past. Yeah, we'll be finished by then, I should think.
Yeah, I'm heading up to
you've got to go and see your brother, and I need to go back and do some editing and make sure I've got everything ready for tomorrow. I don't think I'll do the interior. To be honest, Mr. Harwood, having driven your car, I doubt the interior is in a bad state. You're not that sort of person, are you? Yeah, there we go.
I'll do the Jeep tonight.
Yes. Rick from Agatha Anything says, I thought you were doing a live stream. Maybe he's cancelled his live stream. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he's doing a live stream afterwards or something. I don't know what Mr. Harwood's plans are. Right. So we've done. I can see there about 40 minutes. Is there anyone else want to say that's sort of pressing, or shall we come to a conclusion? Because it sounds like everybody got things to do.
Yeah, everybody's busy outside enjoying the sun.
Yeah, it's got a bit cooler now, so that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Might have a Chinese tonight.
Oh, Indian last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I sent him a message earlier on saying Chinese, and he just gave me a thumbs up. So yeah, quite looking forward to a Chinese tonight.
Oh, Mr. Harwood says I was going to do a live stream. I'm going to push it back to next week. I don't think we have time. I think that's sensible, sir. That means possibly that. Depending on what's happening, actually no, I can't. I'm not sure I can join you then because I'm at MG40, so I'm afraid that's not going to happen. So
if I'm about, mate, I'll join you.
Mr. Harwood's live streams are most entertaining. he as soon as he gets some washing done, have a shower and clean the car.
I won't do all that.
It is
in a minute.
It is an excellent thing to do. Rick is still talking about the fuel pump on his Allegro on Agatha. See you tomorrow if I make it. We believe you're going to make it, Rick. It's not that far, is it? It's only from sort of Derbyshire, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
not
not
downhill.
too
Actually.
Downhill most of the way. Yes. And on that note, thank you ever so much. Oh, there we go. Christian Boyd's a fancy for the advice. I'm heading to Thruxton for truck racing tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be a good laugh.
I'm always amazed with those truck cars that race. They just don't kind of fall over, do they?
No.
I always think they're going to fall over and they don't.
No, they'll be alright.
Well, Christopher, you know where I am if you need sort of proper formal advice about car purchasing, because that's actually what I do in my job. I don't just make sort of funny YouTube videos.
No.
It'd be nice if, like, you know, that paid enough money when I didn't have a job, but to be honest, if I got like loads of money from YouTube, maybe I'd still do what I do anyway, because I like it. Anyway, so, Joe Roman says, enjoy Sundays, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Chance to see you in Lincolnshire, we will indeed. So that is it. Thank you for watching this live stream. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Rubbish Mechanic as well, and we will see you soon for more entertaining content.
Yes. See you soon.
Yes, we'll be shambolic shuffling Mr. Waters tomorrow, don't you worry. Thank you, sir. That was wonderful.